Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. I'm your host Sam, and today we're going to do a little bit of drafting because it's draft season, of course. We barely do an episode without drafting. And we're also going to talk about the perfect picks. Now, perfect is something that I've been playing with as a theory, a philosophy for the last couple of weeks now. You've probably seen already, hopefully, you've seen the 3 perfect drafts here from the start, middle, and end of a 12-team draft. And I've been working on my mocks. I haven't been gone crazy this year, but you know what? It's getting to the crunch time where some of my most vital leagues are drafting very soon, and I want to make sure that I have everything in place. And this is going to be not one of my most vital drafts. This is going to be an interesting one. I picked up an orphan. Now, on its own, that sounds a bit out of context, but if you're in fantasy football, you kind of know what an orphan is. An orphan is a team that has lost its parents, lost its owner, and needs someone to come and support it. Normally, it's done in dynasty leagues, but you'll see if you're watching on YouTube, this is a keeper league, and it's an interesting keeper because you can keep up to 5 players. The way this league has worked over the last few years is that if you draft someone in the 7th round, let's say, you want to keep him, next year you keep him for a 6th. And then if you want to keep him again, you keep him for a 5th. And they keep accelerating and keep going up in their value, which gives it a bit of a dynasty feel, because if you want to keep a player on your team for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you want to draft them low and then they'll get raised high. Otherwise, they come quite stuffy at the top of your league. And I was brought into this team. It's we do it on themes. So this year's themes was chosen to be Denzel Washington movies. So I went for the Book of Eli Manning, that is, and obviously got my AI generated photo in there. But this team, on the face of it, is rubbish. And I don't know who had it before, but I looked back at the historical records of this. 4 years in a row, he has come dead last and hasn't improved anything. And I think this league is all about value, and because I explained the kind of where you draft them and where you keep them is incredibly important. I was looking through some of these players' history. Jonathan Taylor, for example, if I take a look at his history, picked with the 106, was a 101 pick, was a 101 pick, 111 pick. He's always going to be a first round pick. He is not a first round pick. You should get Jonathan Taylor in the 3rd round potentially. Patrick Mahomes, if you were drafting him in a standard league, you probably won't draft him in the 4th or 5th. Nope, you're going to be forced to take him in the 2nd. You lose a 2nd round pick. And while there is comfort in taking certain players at certain positions, people get elevated because you don't want to lose out, and you miss out on so much more. There was not much to be working on this team anyway. I got rid of a fair few. I do have the 101 this year, and I want to make the 101 matter. But obviously, everyone else is going to pick their favourite players as well. I ended up going with 2 players who I think are immensely talented and have opportunity. I went with Zach Charbonnet because I thought the opportunity cost was really interesting. There's no transaction history here, but he definitely does have a transaction history. He was available to me, I think, in the 7th, and I've gone for who's the other one? Garrett Wilson. That's right. And he was available to me in the 7th. So maybe it's the 7th and 9th pick. But either way, it's all well and good trying to get the first if no one else has got everyone else as well. The thing is, if you keep stacking first, you could have the first 5, because if you can't take someone with a first, you have to take them with a second. So you get runs of players who aren't going to pick in the first 5 rounds. I think if you try and do the same thing that you did last year, because they were the best team last year, they're not going to be the best team next year. It's very difficult in Dynasty not to turn over your squad, because you have to stay relevant. If you stay stagnant, that's where you get these orphans. That's where you get teams that aren't looked after, aren't well kept. So with that in mind, we are going to be taking a look at doing a keeper draft. Oh, it's not worked. I don't know why it's not worked on this one. Bear with me 2 seconds. I am going to be right back with a version of this draft that does work. Oh, Sleeper, you need to get better at this. And with the power of editing, you would not even know I was gone. I've got the 101 in this pick. I'm really happy with that. I'm looking at some really interesting players across the board here, but I've gone with Zach Charbonnet in the 8th, Garrett Wilson in the 7th. Garrett Wilson probably a 3 or 4 round, probably a 3 round advantage if playing at 3 or 1 there. Zach Charbonnet, probably about par, but because this is pseudo dynasty, I'm kind of taking that risk on a young running back, and it was a bit, my team was a bit chopped liver. Plus, if you look at who else has been taken in the first round alone, keepers: Bijan Robinson, Derek Henry, Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, Jameer Gibbs, CD Lamb, of course. In the second round, Trey McBride, Nico Collins, Diggs. That's a weird one. Tyreek Hill, again, probably around earlier. But this is what people get. People get, kind of obsessed with having the same players. I don't really think that's a thing. DJ Moore is in the second. Travis Kelce's in the second. Lamar Jackson in the third. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the third. Great value. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen about par there, probably. Zay Flowers in the third, way too high. David Montgomery in the fourth, way too high. You can see people have been picked out, and I'll go through some of these players when they come across. But in this position, the advantage I saw of going first and having a first round pick is that rookies are still available to you. Rookie running backs are so key, and I was weighing up who I was going to pick here and who I could pick, and I want to talk about the perfect picks, and maybe not the perfect picks, but the best picks by round. And I think the best pick by round in the first round has got to be CMC. I've spoken to about him before, and I can't, almost even at the 101, I can't look away from him. But in this format, how many years he got left? I want CMC because you can pick him up late. You can pick him up at around ADP 13. He is one of the only players that I can think of who's been the RB1 twice. He's in a great system this year. He's in a great situation. He's had rest. And he's got a proven track record. I'm then considering the players I don't want to pick up. And he's not available to me here because I don't want to pick him up this early. He's actually available in the 16th round. He's been as a keeper because a couple of years ago he was a complete unknown free agent. If you were wise like me and picked him up and followed the Rams, obviously you'll know who it is. But I'm glad he's not available to me in the first because I hate to say it, but Puka Nacua, there's too much at stake and too much riding on the health of Matt Stafford as 37, 38 years old. He's one of the younger old quarterbacks, but he's so broken and beaten. He will be fine, but I think in the first round there's better options available. And the better option here that comes to me available is a rookie running back. Number one, this is a pseudo dynasty league. I'm going to want a player who I know has definitive value moving forward. Yes, he might bust. I don't think he will. Ashton Genty, get on my team. Of course, some of the other guys who weren't picked up. Justin Jefferson goes 2, Malik Neighbors 5, Christian McCaffrey 6, AJ Brown 9. And see, even these guys are a bit elevated because some of the great picks that you would see in the first and second round have already gone much lower down. Josh Jacobs 110, and then you come back. Jonathan Taylor, who I got rid of, goes in the 212. Sorry, 202. Sorry, T Higgins goes in the second. Again, I'm glad I've avoided these players because they're too hot. Amarian Hampton would have been a player I would have loved to take at this position, but I need to think about who I really need to make this team work. It's 3 wide receivers, and I'm thinking I need a wide receiver or 2. And I might take 2 at this point because if I look at the kind of options available to me at running back, I'm seeing Trevon Henderson potentially. I reach for him. Mike Evans is a great pick for this year, but is he a great pick for next year? Maybe not. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, is a fair value at late second. Even in this format, I think it might work out. George Kittle, I think, is fair value in this kind of format. It is tight end premium. I would love to have that. And I might try that out, because I have done a couple of these mocks where I've taken tight ends too late. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do a philosophy here. I've got so many picks at the turn that the second pick is actually the most valuable pick when I make it the turn because they're the one who's going to have a round later draft capital come next year. I'm not looking to win this year. I don't think I will. I'm looking to be competitive. If I can get, as always, guys, if you can get into the playoffs, you're laughing. If you can't, it's very difficult. But if you're into the playoffs, we write out the rule book and throw it all out completely. I don't know, I'm mixing my metaphors there, but you will have a chance. But if in a perfect world, going back to his perfect picks, if I had someone available to me, it would be Lad McConkey. He has obviously been taken in the 6th round, which is such great value. The fact that he was a 7th round rookie in this kind of format was amazing. It shows you that rookies get really elevated. You know, Marion Hampton is already off the board at the 211 there. But Lad McConkey would be my ideal 2nd round pick. Consistency in coaching, consistency in QB, and they've yet to really bring competition in for him. I think he can do what he did last year, and do it amazingly. And the guy I'm avoiding is someone who's off the board at the 5th round. It's Brock Bowers. If he was still there, I would be avoiding Brock Bowers. I'm worried. He's so hot coming out of the first year, and will he have the same trajectory as Sam Laporta? Sam Laporta is still a very functional and very reliable tight end. Is he game breaking? No, he's not. Mayer is still there. He had very high capital. There are new weapons around him. Mayer's been seeing a lot more in 12 personnel as well, so he's finally getting to the rhythm of the NFL. Potentially, a major red zone threat, which is what he was in college. I don't think he will be as potent because of all these weapons around him. I mean, Ashton Genty's going to be there. I wouldn't take Brock Bowers in this situation because I've already got Ashton Genty. You can only throw to one guy per touchdown, Gino, despite wanting to do differently. I don't know why I'm picking on Gino because he's there, but I think he's going to still be a number one. He's still going to be in the top 10, probably top 5 maybe, but he's not going to be the number one, which is why I can't do this. And taking a onesie in your draft this early could kill it in certain situations. This is heavy tight end premium. I'm going to take George Kittle with a view that I'm not going to have him next year, so he's not going to clog up my roster spot, and that leaves me on to the 3rd round. So, it's different if you're at the ends of rounds, because talking about perfect picks now is very difficult. And Kittle would be my perfect 3rd round pick, middle of 3rd round. Love it. He's proven he can do it when there's active competition. Last year, for example, he's perennially in the top 5. He's had a big contract, and he's increased his red zone usage. He doesn't have any competition for the first half of the year, basically. They've got rid of Debo. They've got rid of, well, they haven't got rid of, but they might be getting rid of Ayuk. He's injured currently. He's a player that you want, and he's a player that I will probably be targeting. It's probably between him and Hampton in this kind of 2-3 block here. Tyreek Hill is a player that has been taken in the 206 here that I would avoid like the plague. Yes, he is Tyreek Hill. He has been great. Let's look at his stats here. I took a quick look at these guys earlier, and yes, there are a lot of greens here, 2s, 1s, 6s. But last year, showed his age. In a non-performative year, it was difficult, but I think he might have just been too volatile. He's had 2 great seasons in Miami, but he capitulated somewhat last year. He pissed off his teammates, and he keeps having niggling injuries that he can't manage. I think the pissing off his teammates and his coach is going to be a factor. Mike McDaniels is not afraid of telling people what he feels. The target share did go down notably last year compared to Waddle and some other players as well. Red zone usage as well. And whilst he can still take the top of the defense, you're not staring down 1,500 yards like you were a couple of years ago. You're looking at 1,000, and here's a guy who's past 31. He is going to be injury prone, and at 31, he's probably got the same age as he's got a number of kids now. That's not shaming him. That's just mighty impressive. But I think that is going to slow him down so what. I am looking at a wide receiver here, and there's a couple of guys that jump out to me, but I think the guy that really comes out to me is Marvin Harrison Jr. I would love to pull the trigger on Terrell McMillan here. He's a guy I really like, but Marvin Harrison Jr. has been my guy for a little while, and I think he is a fantastic value at this spot. I'm going to hope that one of the young running backs comes back to me. We'll have to see what happens, but yeah, I'm pulling the trigger on Marvin Harrison Jr. So on top of my Garrett Wilson and Zach Charbonnet, I've got Ashton Genty, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Kittle now. After that, there's a bunch of other keeper slots, but DK Metcalf goes, Rashee Rice, Mike Evans, who I was considering, Terrell McMillan gone, Devontae Smith, Xavier Worthy, who I think is so high there, and I'll talk about kind of best and worst in a second, but Yeah, Henderson goes, Harvey goes, Jones goes, Mahomes goes. I had the opportunity to keep Jones, but I think I would have had to keep him for a considerably higher pay point than him. Can't see the history on him anymore. I don't know. So, Sleeper, if you could get your web interface up to as nearly as good, even vaguely as good as your app interface, that would be fantastic. And I'm staring down a not really particularly nice set of picks here, but I know which ones I'm going to take. Anyway, if there's a perfect world and where I normally should see him, Amarian Hampton kind of appears in the fourth, depending on which kind of format you're doing. He is crazy smooth, surprising pass catching. He's got a pathway to the number one over the pirate Najee Harris. That was embarrassing. And he has the juice of a rookie running back. He's someone I would want on my team, especially in a format like this where it's pseudo dynasty. The guys I'm avoiding in the fourth is. I hate to say this because I don't want to poop on him too much. It's Kenneth Walker here at eighth round value, same as Charbonnet. That's where I see him. He's had a 60%. Sorry, he's averaged less than a 70% snap share when he's healthy. He's not healthy often. He's never been more than an RB2, and most times an RB3. He's explosive, yet, but I can't buy the hype. And he will, guarantee it, they will run it a lot. He will end up becoming a committee back. Can't see any other way. A guy I am liking though, and I'm probably going to end up taking here is Jalen Waddle. I'm considering Jalen Waddle in the third here. Yes, he's not the youngest, but I want to save my young spot, my second pick, for a young running back. And what I'd advise is when you're at the end of drafts, either end, is taking two different positions each time rather than doubling down is a lot more effective in giving you flexibility moving forward. Yes, I know I have to fill out three wide receiver spots, and I will fill out three wide receiver spots, and I will start out with Jalen Waddle, and then I'll go into my fifth round pick in a second, and I'm staring down the barrel of Caleb Johnson. But let's talk about top and worst picks in the fifth round. Again, this is not a normal draft, which is what it's quite interesting to see where these guys are going as well. Teteran McMillan would normally fall in the fifth, but because of the suppressed value, the value changing because of all the keeper picks later on, like players who you would expect to be much, much higher. I'm going to pick out a couple of names here. Bucky Irving, who's going in the second, he's a 16th round pick. Chase Brown, who's a third round pick, is a 16th round pick. Devon Achan, who's borderline first, is a 13th round pick. Jaden Daniels in the third is a 13th round pick. Kyron Williams, also a third, a 16th round pick. There are some crazy values here that people have got. So that's why it's suppressing these. But a perfect pick for me would have been Teteran McMillan. I think it might have been RJ Harvey a couple of weeks ago, but I've seen more out of camp and more out of preseason. And preseason doesn't matter, yeah, but it kind of does. It's just take what you will out of it and you make your own analysis. He's switched me over to thinking that he is going to be a dominant force. He has the body of an ex-receiver and the wingspan to match. I think he could be a catalyst for this offense, but he's not who I'm going to be taking, and neither is going to be Xavier Worthy, who's already gone in this. But as a fifth round value, he's fast, but in my humble opinion, there is so many that do so much more behind him around his draft position. You're drafting him as a potential starter range in the kind of your wide receiver 2-3 slot, and I just don't think he's got enough floor to really give you that. But someone who I do think has a interesting future ahead of me, and I'm thinking of this for the prospective playoff run. I'm looking at Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is a guy who I think has a pathway to the first because no one wants Jalen Warren. There you go. I said it. He's boring. Who else goes? Straight after me, the two locks of Bowers and McLaurin and Hurts and Njoku. Lots of locks there. Then run on running backs. Swift, Mix, and Kamara go. Dunze was a lock. Pollard, Olave, Travis Hunter. A lot of names going out. Ridley, who's an interesting player. I've not pulled the trigger on him once. Judy with Flacco in there could be interesting. Mark Andrews again with likely off could be interesting. He went in the sixth round. Judkins, again, might not be punished early on, but might be punished later. Too risky for me. Debo Samuel, Evan Engram, Maya, Pearsall, and that leaves me with a sixth round pick. And I'm going to talk about the sixth and seventh round picks of my perfect option here together. In the perfect world, I would have taken Jalen Waddle here. I took him in the fourth because I had to. Because at ADP, he wasn't coming back to me. But how he's normally in the sixth round in a 12-man league. He's in the middle of the sixth. Is unbelievable to me. He could well be the number one guy there for all the reasons I spoke about. Why I didn't like Tyreek Hill is the reason I do like Jalen Waddle. He suffered a down year in Miami in general, but there's a chance to recapture that sophomore form of it being a top 15 guy. And the fact that he's drafted 3 or 4 rounds later than Tyreek Hill is amazing to me. And if I was looking at being quarterback heavy, and I might do here, I'd be looking at Kyler Murray. Um, I'm looking at the shape of my squad, and I like Kyler Murray a lot. I've got Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think I'm going to pull the trigger on him. He's a perfect seventh round guy. Um, uh, yeah, uh, I really think he is. He's kind of in the seventh and eighth, really. Actually, funnily enough, I had Caleb Johnson as my perfect in seventh. I've already talked about him because no one believes in Warren. And Kyler Murray is my fringe eighth guy. And yes, he had a down year in the eighth. In down year in Arizona last year, but he was still top 10. When he's on the field for more than 14 guys, he will not give up less than a top 10 spot. MHJ is a great weapon, and it's his first true wide receiver. Yes, he didn't perform in the same way. I don't think he was utilised in the right way last year, and the tape speaks to that. Trey McBride is all arrows up, so it makes this choice for me in the sixth round of this weird draft of the eighth round perfect pick, Kyler Murray, obvious, but compared to the guys I wouldn't have picked in this kind of sixth, seventh round slot here, Montgomery, who weirdly was taken the fourth in this one, he's amazing, and I don't doubt that. He's fun to watch. Sonic and Knuckles is great, but Gibbs is the future. Montgomery will get progressively less reps. Gibbs will make it his own, especially in the pass catching game, and he is very long in the tooth. He is going to get more and more injured. He's floor play, but is the floor solid? I don't know, in my opinion. And the other guy in his seventh, who I can't pick, I just can't pick him, is someone who I probably talked about it a little earlier. I think he was picked in the third or fourth here, fifth. There we go. Roma Dunze, already gone. It would normally got a seventh round ADP value. I just wonder where he fits in. We've been seeing a lot of 12 personnel out of Ben Johnson. Yes, he can flip it up week to week. It's getting Cole Kmet involved, which is interesting. I love the idea of Cole Kmet and Loveland both being fantastic pass catchers. But in 12 personnel, he's going to get squeezed out because you're only going to have 2 wide receivers on the field. It's going to be DJ Moore, and probably Luther Burden is the favourite target. I think the sophomore player in Roma Dunze is probably going to miss out, and he just didn't show anything last year. I don't know if you like it. RB 49, wide receiver 49. If you look at his game log, he was available that whole time. He played all 17 games. He got 734 yards, not bad. Just couldn't get into the end zone, couldn't get any useful targets, and he would be someone I avoid. But I've talked about who I would avoid, etc. Let's talk about a player I am going to take. It is going to be Kyler Murray, and then it's going to Wizards all the way around. I don't know why it's paused here. Can I unpause this? Resume. Oh, that's funny. It paused it because it's 11 o'clock. And I'm recording late, so I need to wrap this up pretty tasty. But I've got 3 more rounds I want to take you through, and then I'm going to make the rest of my picks. In the 7th round, some guys go Cup, Godwin, Golden, Tracy, Warren. Some interesting names. Some names I'd love to talk about on another episode. In the 8th, Jennings, Egbuka, Scatterbo, Mason, Javonte Williams. And I get Jacques Charbonnet in the 8th, obviously, already. But let's talk about players I wouldn't want to take in the 8th and 9th. And ones I would want to take, ideal world, if I'd had the full choice to myself, I've already talked about Kyler Murray. Egbuka would have been my guy. I would have loved for him to have fallen to me in the 9th. He was never going to. But he has an instant impact, and he is a perfect 9th round candidate. He's going to be your wide receiver 3, 4, potentially. If he's your 3, I wouldn't be upset. He has an impact that is wide receiver 2 level, I think, out of the gates, with Godwin likely to miss time, and he's very likely to miss time, probably at least 4 games. He's an opportunity to build out a further role, and even in 11 personnel, I think he's going to be great, and he's had great preseason, great hype from Baker. There's just a lot of juice around him, and he has, go look at his college tape. It's amazing. And his college stats are even better. The guy I would never want to take in the 9th, and he's gone in the 8th here because of suppressed value, and running back is king, as always, is Javonte Williams. Just give it up. He's not the answer, Dallas. I really don't think. The experiment is over. Go home. There's a worse O-line in Dallas. There's better passing options. I just don't think he fits. I think someone else fits, and I think we might end up talking about him on an episode very soon as well. But in the ninth round, I'm looking at the shape of my squad. I'm going to need it's a lot of flex here. I need flex positions here. There's some players I really like. Tucker Craft. You can play two tight ends here. That's an interesting one. Kyle Pitts is still interesting to me. And if I think about the kind of other wide receivers and running backs in this position, I'm looking at Ramondre Stevenson, Jaden Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney. I want to have some fun here. I think Kyle Pitts in the ninth round could be really interesting value. And, he's not the best value. Oh, goodness. You know what? He's gone up from like one touchdown to two touchdowns to three touchdowns. He's going to score 5 touchdowns this year, just based on that alone. No, I want to pick someone a bit younger, and I've already talked about how I quite like the idea of that 12 personnel team in and just getting schemed about in Chicago. I'm going to pick Colston Loveland. I'm treating this as a bit of a dynasty team because I'm thinking about the 5 players, actually 6 players next year that I might want to keep. And I think if I can keep Colston Loveland, who could potentially be the guy to replace Kittle in this lineup, if Kittle were to retire or do anything, then I think that's good value. So I'm happy with that. And the fact that you can play 2 tight ends in this format, I think is worthwhile. But I am going to be looking at a wide receiver running back combination here. In the 10th ideal world, it would have been Tucker Craft probably. I was just weighing up between him and Pitts before, jokingly, but Tucker Craft is not exciting. But in the 10th round, you don't want exciting. You want to fill the rest of your team up. He's possibly the most consistent part of that Green Bay offense outside of Josh Jacobs, who has no competition, basically. He's a reliable target. He has shown himself to be a red zone threat in his sophomore year. I think he's going to be reliable, and he's not sexy, but you know what? Sometimes you just need a guy who can do a job, can't you? The guy I would avoid in the 10th round, another tight end. I'm talking tight ends a lot here. Johnny Smith. I think he's probably off the board already. Maybe. Even if he was off the board, I wouldn't want to take him here. I just don't see what Arthur Smith will destroy the things we love. We loved Johnny Smith last year. He was crazy. He will get used, but it's not why you have him to be on the Steelers. You want spikes. You will get them, but they'll be even more uncontrollable and unpredictable under Arthur Smith in Steelers verse as well. And he just depresses everyone's value because I don't want like Fryermuth either. I don't like Calvin Austin anymore. I like DK less. It's just a crap situation, isn't it? It's pretty crap. There are other tight ends that I will talk about that I do like around this position. This is where in the draft I've actually been taking Justin Fields as well. So it's a bit of an uncharted territory for me. I talked about Luther Burden earlier, and I'm interested in him, and I want to get value out of the rest of these picks as well. So I'm probably going to go down the route of taking taking a couple of rookie shots because these guys could turn out to be absolute world beaters, and if they're not, I can get rid of them because they're later round picks. Again, I'm not thinking that this is going to be a winning team. This is a pseudo dynasty. You want to build up over time, but if you have a chance, do it. Luther Burden, I think, is going to be interesting. I've said he maybe can carve out that wide receiver 2 role, maybe even wide receiver 1 if DJ Moore goes as well. So having him at the 10th round, I think, is really interesting value. And in the 11th round, I'm going to go with someone like Carl Williams. Let's go with Carl Williams. Again, I think he's shown a lot in his tape, in his ability to just go and do things with the ball that I think is really interesting. I think that Patriots team is going to be interesting in general, and Drake May is a guy that I really like. Coming towards the end of my draft, I just want to talk about 2 players then who are in the kind of 11 plus, the double-digit rounds. That one you probably do want to get, and if you can get him, it turns your draft a bit better for you, and it's probably someone I'm going to take in the next round or so. And so I'll also talk about someone I really don't like, and talk about the guy I really don't like at the moment. I don't know when he's going to go. It'll be interesting to see where he goes in this draft. He's been going around the 12th round at the moment. Trey Harris. Now, I don't want to just pick on a newbie because it's not expected that rookie wide receivers are going to be world beaters. We're not expecting them to be, but he is behind currently behind. He was behind Quentin Johnson, who's now injured. He is behind the 5th round rookie, double-barreled surname in charge as well. I can't remember him. He's also behind Keenan Allen, who has only just joined back. If you can't carve something out, I don't think it's there for him. And they are going to play a lot of 12 personnel and run it down the middle. He's going to miss out. He is not the slot guy. He is not the X guy. What is he? I think he will get some play. I think he'll come into it, but I just don't like it at the moment. I think it's just it's not a good sign over there. And when you can't trust the pass catching anyway, it's difficult to go the step beyond. Mason Taylor is the guy that I would love to have at these kind of rounds. And again, I probably won't take him now. I've said I've taken Justin Fields at this kind of position, and maybe in a real draft I might do. Justin Fields is more of a kind of gamble. It's a prospect that you gamble on, see if it's going to work out. It so far doesn't feel like it's going to. But yeah, he's someone that I might be interested in this spot. But let's get through these last few rounds and see what we're doing here. So 12th, 13th turn, I'm probably taking someone who's a bit more established in the 12th, and then someone who's a bit of a flyer in the 13th. I'm really interested in what's been happening with Dante Thornton. So he's on my board. Let's put him in the queue. If I'm looking at running backs at this point, how many running backs have I got? I've got 3 running backs. I need to play at least 2. I want one more just for luck here. Bishal Tootin isn't doing anything for me. Braden Allen could be doing something. Yeah, actually, no, I'm thinking about Braden Allen here, and maybe he'll break out as well. So I'm going to pick him in that order. I'm going to pick up Braden Allen, and I'm going to pick up Dante Thornton. And I'm going to see if Mason Taylor comes back to me. Has he already gone? That's the other thing. I don't think he's already gone. If I look at the tight end queue, is he still available to me? He is still available to me. He'll probably be available to me in one of the last rounds. A load of guys go, and I'm just filling out this team. I'll give you a view of what this team looks like, but someone who I actually really like, who's dropped to me, Hollywood Brown. I've talked about not knowing who it is in that offense, but you can get a little piece of that Chiefs offense a bit later. I think they might try and make it work for Hollywood Brown. He's an interesting player to me. Jalen McMillan was a player who was interesting to me, not anymore. I'm going to take Mason Taylor because, again, if I can get a tight end that I can just rely on later on, yes, he's a bit of a project. He might not come good. It might not be with Justin Fields, but I think he shows some talent. He's someone that I would love to take in the 15th. And again, because I am value obsessed in the 16th round compared to the 17th round, I'm going to take my week 1. This preview, week 1, number 1 pick for defense. Arizona Cardinals are going up against the Saints. Who are the Saints going to play at quarterback? No one knows. Probably going to be Tyler Shuck. If it's Spencer Rattler, either way, you want some of that defense, who are sneaky good. Sneaky good. Take a look. And I want someone who is just going to be an absolute flyer, who I've loved in camp as well. And the reason I picked defense before my offensive skill player, who I want to take on this one, is because it depresses the value. I can get him for the 16th next year rather than the 15th. Anyway, Pat Bryant, I think could be really interesting. So that completes my lineup, guys. I've given you my top guys. I'll run through the guys who you want every round. But my team ended up with Kyler Murray, Ashton Genty, Caleb Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, Zach Charbonnet, Luther Burden, Kyle Williams, Braylon Allen, and Arizona Cardinals, with on the bench Colston Loveland, Dante Thornton, Hollywood Brown, Mason Taylor, and Pat Bryant. This is a really short bench for such a big team. It's going to be some high-scoring games. We'll be interested to see that. But I feel like that team's good. But this time, everyone feels that team's good. Anyway, the players who I think you want round by round, in an ideal world, this is who falls to you, and this is who you want to go after. But the first round, CMC, it's obvious. He's so good. He's been a number 1 so many times. You want a piece of him. Lad McConkey in the second. I think consistency is key. Kittle for very similar reasons, but he's just got such a great opportunity around him. Amarian Hampton, rookie running back. You want it. Tetero McMillan, I think, could change that team's makeup, and you want a piece of that. I think they're going to build around him rather than let the team be, rather than have him fit into a system. Jalen Waddle will turn out to be the number 1. I think at some point this season, we're just going to know when it's going to be. Definitely with Hill potentially be traded after he gets 2 more. Sorry, I say gets 2 more babies under his belt. That sounds weird. Caleb Johnson in the 7th, again for the same reason as Amarian Hampton. I think he has the chance to oust his senior member. And fun enough, between those two, no more parallels. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, who will become the backups, were together playing on a team last year. Kyler Murray is the perfect eighth. He is a stretch at the eighth, but if he lands there, you are laughing. Depends how your team how your league mates value quarterbacks, but I would take him 2 rounds earlier potentially. Egbuka in the 9th makes an instant impact. Tucker Craft in the 10th. It's boring, but sometimes you've got to eat your oatmeal. And Mason Taylor as a flyer in the later rounds as well. You can probably get him around the 14th, 15th. The worst picks by a round, these are the guys I'm probably avoiding on the most part. I hate to say it, Puka Nacua, I love you. I hope you have a great season, but you are too reliant on Stafford. Too reliant. It just doesn't work otherwise. Bowers, I think the Hypers train is gone, and I would love to be proved otherwise, but it's too hot for me. Second round for a tight end who's only had a very small sample size of 1 year. Yes, it was an amazing sample size, record breaking. I just don't like it. Doesn't sit comfortably with me. Tyreek Hill, too volatile for the same reasons the opposite reasons I like Wardle. I don't like him. K9, he will become a backup, or at the very least in a committee. And I've talked about this. I don't mind committees. I just don't want you at a 4th round. Xavier Worthy, there's so many more complete wide receivers around him. I would prefer Egbuka over him, despite what we've already seen. Montgomery, he's talked about, again, he's just too high on the scale for a committee back, and he's not the lead of that committee. He is definitely the 1B. He's definitely the 2. If I'm being honest. Odunze, I don't know where he fits in. I don't think he has 7th round value. Shakir is just boring. I don't think I talked about him. He was so boring, I didn't talk about him. But yeah, he's not going anywhere fast. I've talked about him already, and he's not going to get you past a wide receiver 3. He is the Michael Pittman of that team. Javonte Williams, just give it up. Johnny Smith, it's not going to work out again. We live the dream. And Trey Harris in the later rounds. I don't think he even went in this draft. Maybe did. I don't know. But I've seen him go as early as the 10th round. Not me, thank you. But that's your lot today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. This is probably quite a long episode if I want to get down to it and edit it all through. Yes, it certainly is. So thank you so much for listening, and prattle on about perfect picks and let me do some practice for a draft that I have coming up in 2 days. As always, if you like the show, please do give us a like on all the Facebooks. Not the Facebooks? What am I? 50? Oh, God, sorry. All the socials. Instagram, TikTok. I think that's it. X. That's the other one. But you can follow us on YouTube. Listen here, obviously. The best thing you can do is like and share. Thank you so much. If you want to support the pod, you can do so for as little as £1 a month. You get some interesting stuff that comes out. I do some articles early. I'll give you some stuff for draft season as well. And you can get 10% off merch. I will be doing a new drop in the season as well. But you've listened this far. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. That's the most support I can ask for. I hope this has been good for you. And guys, I will see you all very soon on the Virtual Gridiron.